Hey, come on. Come on. Hey. What? Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Hey. Let's chit chat, this is the show now. Come on. Bad black mama's gonna let you know now. Hey. Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Come on. Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, hey. Let's chit chat, sis. Hey, what's up? Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, let's chit chat, sis. Hey.
But we are not going to belabor this episode, because this episode may make you bring out some tissues, because you get mad, cry, so on and so on. It's dating. I haven't been dating in 19 plus years. And I'm thankful that I'm not dating, because there was a period of time. It was a period of time that I dated before I started dating my husband, because me and my ex had broke up. And when I tell you, it was some of it was fun, but when I think of it now, I just don't want to deal with that, because I have short patience. I have short patience, and my husband is predictable. You know what I mean? I'm comfortable with him being predictable, and I just don't want to have to play all the games I used to play too. Because I'm gonna be honest, we talk about dating, we talk about two people. And maybe three, I don't know. But you know, the way the world is today, we don't know. But when we talk about dating, we talk about this partnership of hopefully coming together and making a union or something. But when I was dating, it was just to me, it was games, and I played them too. You see what I'm saying? Today we're gonna talk about narcissistic dating. You know, who going to be honest on here and say they was narcissistic when they're dating, or they're just a narcissistic person in the relationship? Natasha, I like when you just did that, because isn't that true?
Yeah, if you look at the criteria, I don't think
we'll never see what come back on us. But this was a topic that Mel brought up, and I'm gonna get it rolling, then everybody can get their comments. Dating a narcissistic person, I'm gonna be honest, and when I think about it, it felt mentally abusive to me, mentally. It was so draining trying to keep up with the shenanigans, you know what I mean? And the gaslighting and the back and forth, you know, never do that, never, ever do that again. I sit by myself and look out a damn rocket chair and face it to the corner and be happy and have a dildo or whatever, and cut that shit off. I'm not gonna lie, because that's what it'll be. Because it was too exhausting. Like when I think about it now, I get emotional. Because I think about the things that were said, the things that were done, just to intentionally, you know, kind of move the narrative in their direction, you know, intentionally. Yeah, so I won't be doing that again. I won't be a part of that conversation. So, all right, turn this off and burn up. But who want to talk about their narcissistic adventures? Because it is an adventure.
It sure was an adventure.
Go ahead, Celeste.
Well, I you know, it's funny because a lot of things I'm learning when we're doing these podcasts, because some things I didn't have words for. I just had that experience. I didn't have a word for it, but I was married to one.
Wow, I was too.
Totally was. And what I remember is, I remember identifying something was wrong and not liking it, but I remember becoming somebody else to deal with it.
Yeah. I
was like this, what you trying to do? I was so protective, you know, because I was like, there you go. Yeah, there you go again. And I became this really grouchy person that was mean, and I'm just getting over it. Like, I just was so damaged behind it.
But I see the sunshine in you, Celeste.
I had near sunshine. I had thunderstorms and all kinds, because everybody to me was controlling. It could be somebody caring. When I started dating, I was dating different guys. I was dating them that were caring and nurturing. And I was going, what you trying to do? You trying to control me? I ain't doing it. No, I ain't laying down. No, I don't. Like, he was like, yo, what's wrong with you? Because it was so bad.
Yeah, it takes something out of you, don't it? It takes something out of you. Yeah.
Exhausting. So yeah, my dating experience was kind of the opposite. I think I've dated one or two of them, but the ones that were not suffered because I had dated some that were narcissistic. It's crazy. I'm still in shell shock, y'all. I'm sorry.
Look, I told you, you have to bring out the napkins or the tissues or whatever, because the tears start rolling sometimes from thinking about, where you've come and where you at now. But Mel.
Yeah. I just recently got out of a relationship with a narcissist. We couldn't talk about nothing but him. And then as soon as I start talking about something that I wanted to talk about, you bring it right back to him. And I was just like, he wasn't really trying to control me, but he was very self-centered, very. And it was not a good experience.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Like, how does the conversation even start where it's just all about your own self, just constantly talking about your own self? Like, is it like a recording being played in your head where you just constantly go on about your own self? Natasha, we need your expertise in this one.
Well, you have to, it stems from like a fear that they will never actually express. Like a fear of fear or shame. Right. So in order to overcompensate for that, because I dare not show you that I have fear or shame, I'm going to try to control the narrative. I'm going to try to control what you see and think about me. And I'm going to put myself at the highest pedestal because in order to keep myself thinking in this world, I have to be above everyone else. Right. So it has to be all about me. Why wouldn't it be? Like, what else is there to talk about?
That's very on point, Tamika, because I don't want to just keep on rolling past because I know you got something to say. Hi, girl.
Hi. Well, I was happy to go down memory lane, but so I think I probably dated a few, but we never lasted long enough for it to really affect me.
That's good.
Thank God. But the last guy that I was in a relationship with, he at first you wouldn't think he was a narcissist, but he was very narcissistic. It was all about him. He was this big time professional. I'm a forensic engineer, blah, blah, blah. He loved to brag. Love to brag. He took us on these fabulous dates, but only if my friends were there, because it wasn't about me. It was about everybody else thinking how lucky I was to be with him.
What?
And God, I wish I knew you, because at the time, because we could all went out on a fabulous date.
That's right. Look, food is pleasure.
But when it was just me and him, I felt like I had a second job at the hospitality and cooking and the culinary and housekeeping for like the Marriott, because I was like, doing all of this caretaking and catering and ego, like he also, like when we first met, he went into how much money he was making. I make $150,000 a year. I get $40,000 every year and every quarter in bonuses. Can you live with that? I don't even know if I like you. But I never even saw any of that. Like, he just was a big bragger. But the difference is, I learned this different kind of narcissism.
There is.
And so he is what you would call a covert narcissist, which they're kind of insecure. I took a couple little notes right here because I was determined to figure him out. I was determined. And he was just so he bragged. He loved flashing money, not my way, but he loved flashing money. He was like the little kid in the schoolyard trying to win friends with candy, but instead of candy with him, it was money. Right. Yeah. And because his own mom was using it for money. Lord, please don't let him listen. He'd be like, I know she talking about me, but anyway. So let me get
no names. That could be anybody.
Let me keep it with me and him. So what I learned about covert narcissism, so they have expressions of low self-esteem and they're like introvert a little bit and insecurity. So his narcissicity was really a cover-up for his insecurity.
Right.
So it was like, if I say and do and flash and, if I make it all about, me and my narrative that I've created, my story, my character that I play, then nobody will really see that I'm really insecure. Hell of a businessman, because that's what school taught you. But outside of business, he defines who he is by what he does. And so that's why he got to constantly keep selling you the big story, the I'm all that. And, and just all his little silly little stories. But it was irritating because we was disconnected because he wanted the circus poodle who jumped through the fiery hoops. He will always say all what he was going to do, but he wouldn't do it because he was trying to control me with things, right? And so I'm like, well, how come I don't never get the big gifts? How come I ain't never? But see, that was my love language at the time. So God knew, child, if he give you some gifts, you gonna be in bondage. You will be in some trouble.
You said bondage.
Bondage, and not the good kind, but that bad kind, right? So So yeah, he was controlling in that way. He liked to control you with money, with things, but it didn't work on me because I had before you came. I had while you was here because you didn't do anything, because I wasn't jumping through the hoops, the old carrot and stick routine. I'm not a horse. I'm not doing that. So it didn't work on me because I didn't need you. So he's, with somebody he absolutely that needs him.
Yeah. But see, think about it. It's people that just like him, they have a lot of I hate to say it, but they have a lot of things that they're carrying around. Because I was going to say demons, but things that they're carrying around.
Yeah.
And when we think about a narcissistic person, I'm glad you brought up the different types of narcissistic people. But in a relationship, do we ever think that we could be narcissistic in the relationship?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want y'all to elaborate on that, because I'm sure everybody can share the story about the dude you dated or whoever you dated that was narcissistic. You know what I mean? Because that's what we see them as. But when do we see ourselves as narcissistic?
You got to get out of your own way to actually hear it.
Yeah.
I know for me, my thing has always been about controlling, but it can come off as narcissistic, but for me, it is a way to protect myself from the unknown, which you cannot protect yourself from. Like, it is not possible. But if I can control the narrative and I can control the people in the play, then it's like a higher percentage that is going to come out the way that I need it to come out, and I won't have to be surprised. So that was a way for me. And then also, you always want people to hear about what you got going on or like your ideas and stuff like that. But then you quick to like not listen to someone else.
Yeah.
And I was always told, like, do you realize that you don't be listening to what I say? Or like, you don't show true interest in what I have going on, but you want people to be interested in you. And I'd be like, oh, but I'm still a work in progress.
So did that hurt your feelings?
I think I would probably try to prove them wrong.
Yeah, but I'm glad we're having this conversation, because guess what? How many times do we even talk about what we do in a relationship and how we bring these behaviors that we too busy identifying what other people doing, and we don't identify something. Now, I say this to you, Natasha. What struck a chord with me when they say, you just don't listen. I know. I've had people tell me, you just don't listen, because by this point, I'm going on a tangent. I've never been a braggadocious type of person, because I'm kind of more like laid back. But I could get on a tangent where I just start, when I'm so relentless when I want to get a point across. I can't stop. I do this with my kids and everything. Like, they have shut me down so many times, my kids. They were the first teacher. You know what I mean? They were the first teacher. And I can't even imagine what my husband really be saying, because, half of the time I know that I have a lot of, I want to do it my way. And he is just so opposite from me. He just like, okay, well, you think you're doing it your way. I'm not going to get into the debate with you, but I'm really going to go over this way and do this.
But we're not going to do it your way.
We're not going to do it your way, because you can go sit your ass down, Kim, because you just keep on going on and on. But I'm just going to just act like I'm agreeing with you. And when you see tomorrow that I didn't do that, you should get the hint, but I never get the hint. So I feel like that's why I got high blood pressure, all this other stuff running around, because I feel like I become so controlling where I want this to be this way, this way, this way. And by the time I step back, I don't feel great. You know what I mean? I don't feel great. So yeah,
You have to learn to hear. Like you have to learn to actually hear what is being said, not from a place of like emotion. Like we say we're listening, but we're not. Like we're thinking about what we want to say, and we're thinking about like our rebuttal to what's being said. Because I'm gonna prove that you're wrong. But if you really stop and actively listen to what someone's saying, like with my partner, it took years. And one day I was like, dang, he said this and I didn't even catch it. And I had to go. It was literally like a year or two later. I was like, when you said this, I'm so sorry. I did not hear what you were actually saying to me, because I took it. I got defensive and I made it mean something about me instead of acknowledging what you were going through and being there for you. Because in my mind, I was like, how dare you say that to me? And you da 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 da. And then like a year or two later, I was like, okay, I gotta do better. So, in my journey to heal myself, I understand that it requires me to recognize where I am in fault. And it doesn't feel good.
It doesn't.
Hear someone say it to me, but I don't have a problem giving out the feedback. Like, so I need to be open, but then I get to decide if it's something that's really a problem. Do I want to change it? Or am I okay, and those around me okay? Am I willing to lose that particular relationship? So it just, you hear, you discern, and you decide, what you want to do with the information.
Celeste?
I'm every time we have a show, I always think I got a problem when I get off. But let me just preface this. When my relationship wasn't braggadocious and all of those other things, it was a controlling thing by manipulating the things that I cared about, like things with the kids. If he reacted a certain way, he knew I was going to do this. So it was controlling without me. It was kind of manipulative, but in that sense. But when you talk about listening, I'm trying not to listen so much because I am so emotionally damaged when people, oh, you feel like this. Oh, let me change that because you feel like that. That now I'm getting to the point, Natasha, where I'm not trying to listen because it affects me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But you're aware, like you have to be able to hear and not need to fix.
Okay, what you want now? You want me to hear? You want me not to hear? What you want now?
Some people are giving you, again, it goes back to discernment. Some people are giving you information because they want that to guilt trip you and they want to manipulate you to do something.
That's exactly right.
Some people are giving you information because they need you to hold space. And we have to be able to ask, okay, do you want me to do something about this? Or do you want me to just to hold space for you? Or call them out. Like, why are you telling me this?
And I have to stop them. I have to stop them because I've learned that, ladies, but I have to literally go, if this is not something you want me to fix, do not tell me. I don't have the capacity to hold space.
There you go.
I didn't have that word. No, I didn't have that word till you just showed it to me, Natasha.
Oh, okay.
I literally will tell them, do not tell me. My kids will say, Ma, I want to tell you. Do you want me to try to fix it? No, I just want to vent. I can't do it.
Consent.
I love that, Celeste, though. I
have to, because otherwise I'm telling them stuff and they're going, Ma, really?
So, I think your kids will be your first teacher. They'll bring, especially when they turn grown, it's no more of that controlling them. You gotta just kind of blend in with their lifestyle, blend in with just them, because they are individuals. I've learned this over the last 7 years. Yeah, you gotta learn. They will teach you in the worst way. That's how I say, in the worst way. if you can deal with what your kids kick out to you as far as the personalities and being able to not control, yeah, I see your face. I'm telling
It's
you.
rough. I mean, we're at 15 and I'll be like,
Oh,
I'm
you
about
better,
to
I tell you, about enjoy that 15, because wait till when 21 comes and you're in a whole different space and you say, fool, is you over there doing that? What is wrong with you? And they'll just cut you down and be like, well, I don't really like how you talk to me anymore. Don't tell me that, blah, 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 blah. You be like, what? You know, everything changes. So I think that, you know, I want to get off the topic of, you know, dating and narcissistic, but your kids will make you see the things that you do that you will have to stop. So Mel.
Yes.
Do you identify with narcissistic behaviors?
Sometimes sometimes you have to be a little bit narcissistic.
I think so. I do.
I think we sometimes I am. Yeah.
Because you know, it's almost a fine line with being narcissistic and practicing self-love. It's a fine line. Now we go overboard, you know what I mean? But think about this, and I'm gonna put this towards you, Tamika, because you next.
Yikes.
Fine line between self-love and being narcissistic. You know what I mean? Just the word narcissistic makes you think of derogatory things and you just like out of control. But do you feel that you have to be able to practice both?
Well, first I want to say I think Natasha been reading my journal. I must have left it over her house because she told all my business. I'm like, I am controlling. And that was a hard pill to swallow. Like, I control? And so I do. And I want to answer too, when you talked about like, how do you know? I think it takes a lot of maturity and be able to be introspective.
Yeah.
Because I think back to my first boyfriend, I owe him like a cookie tray with some of them fancy pretzels on it. And like, I'm sorry. Like, dang, because I just thought it was all him. But seeing and listening and learning about narcissists, I'm like, ooh. But I think that you know, on one hand, you do have to kind of believe your own hype because people will tear you down. And with the whole gaslighting thing, you start thinking, well, maybe I'm not good and maybe I'm not. So it's sometimes you do kind of gotta be your own hype man, but then you have to have a healthy balance between conceit and confidence and allow yourself to have some humility. Because like Natasha was saying, it's easy to see things in other people. It's the Bible verse, you know, you can't see you see the stick in somebody else's eye, but you got a whole forest coming out of your eye. And you don't see none of that, you know, and so
none of it.
No trees, no swamp, nothing. And
nothing. Not even a blade of grass. You don't see nothing because you've been sitting over there and you just think that either one. Look, because anybody listen, I don't want to offend you. I always say this: do I not, Celeste? Do I not? Well, we're never here to offend, but I'm going to say this: it's been plenty of times that, you know, we can always look for. Especially in a relationship, we can always look for what that person did to us. We never can look at what we did to them. You know what I mean? Never. It's a hard pill to swallow. Like, I'm gonna tell you this, and I hope my ex-husband don't listen to this because I was so hard on him. Thank God, you know, over the years, you know, you learn to get better. You know what I mean? But I used to be so hard on him because he was narcissistic. You know, he used to do little games and stuff, and he used to try to trick my mind, and the children would be the segue to kind of control. You know what I mean? Control, like he can go out and bring the club in and bring the club down and close it out and close it in. But if I wanted to go somewhere, it became, well, you're a mom of these little kids, and you know, what do people think about you? What they think of you? I mean, you know, you see what I'm saying? It was so reversed all the time. It used to guilt trip me all the time. I used to have, I lost friends because people didn't want to be around me because you can't never do anything because, yo, he's sitting over here and he like, You know what I mean? You don't think about going somewhere, but all that was to cover up the things that he was doing. So if I can't get out, I can't be exposed to what's going on. You know what I mean? Now, let me always say this. If your ass do something, you ain't got to go nowhere. Somebody gonna let you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're gonna find out because we all women. That intuition is gonna go. We're gonna find out. But it gets a little harder when you have to be isolated. And that was his whole game. I'm going to control this. I'm gonna isolate her. And by the time I kind of realized that this is actually going nowhere, and I'm getting ready to break loose, that's when all the little feelers he was out there doing was falling in my lap. You know what I mean? I just had enough proof. Instead of making myself feel like, I hate to use this word, but I'm gonna use it, a victim, I started to feel rejuvenated and have hope that I have to do better because Celeste, I know you're laughing because I know what you
Yes, we did.
Look, let me tell you, I've known Celeste for a long, long time. And Celeste knows my antics. And oh my God, she was the voice of reason, y'all. Anybody listen, she was always the voice of reason. Her calm, demeaning voice was just talking me off of the ledge and going to prison. Going in that,
Thank you,
direction.
Celeste. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, she did. She couldn't stop me. Let's put that in there. She couldn't stop me, but she talked me off of doing some things that would get you locked up, you know, because you're so angry. I'm so glad that the Lord has delivered me from that fiasco that used to be going on. But it's a learning tool that you use to be able to say, you know what, and all of that crap that he used to do, let me say what I used to do too. You know what I mean? I want to start an argument because I want him to get out. You know what I mean? So I planned it. You know what I mean? I planned it. Okay, that's kind of jacked up. But it was already at a point where it's so bad. But I did some little manipulative things and gaslight him and things like that because I wanted to start it to show him I can control things too. You see what I'm saying? But that doesn't resolve all the years that, you know, but see, I'm doing it right now. I put it right back on him. And I do have to take accountability. I have, you know, for things that I intentionally done. And I think that happens a lot in relationships. Because if you think about people you dated early on, oh my God, especially when we're young.
Well, some of those things that you did was for survival too.
Yeah.
Like, so you wouldn't have to kill him and go to jail too.
Absolutely. Because I thought about
a lot
my
of that was
kids.
mine. Yeah, a lot of that was mine. And I thought to myself, yeah, it's either me or you. It's gonna be
me and you. Because I'm on my way to be calling 888. I need a lawyer. Because
you know, I injured mine in the midst of this all. I really did do some damage, so I get it.
So think about the damage we do. So in closing this up, I think we covered a lot of things. I love this episode. I really hope people can relate to dating and partnerships and things like that. This is not a one-way street because we all bring something that may not be great, like thinking about narcissistic behaviors. We all bring something. Unless you getting totally run over, is what I'm saying. Because there are people out here getting totally run over by somebody. Somebody's controlling the whole narrative. They can't do nothing. And I know people like that. They have been in a relationship with somebody for many, many years. And their word can't even get a conversation with them because they're controlling everything. They control if they're talking to me, they're talking to you. They know when they can say something, when they cannot. And to me, I think that goes from a narcissistic person to mental abuse to things that you need to seek professional help to help you get out of something that is so unhealthy. But I love this episode. Did y'all like this episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even mind Natasha telling on me.
I love Natasha's expertise. Because Natasha, you be bringing it. So, you know, in closing, what is your closing thoughts? I'll start with you, Tamika.
Ooh.
Please.
About, let's see, narcissistic behavior. Well, I'll say this, in closing, narcissism can have a very negative, um, uh, you know,
Persona.
yes. And it can be very negative. It can be just unbearable to even be
Yeah.
around people. But something you said in earlier, and I'm trying to learn to operate in grace. And so in doing so, people who act like that with those tendencies, it all stems from, as we mentioned earlier, like something early on, past childhood traumas, unhealed hurt. It's a whole bunch of things that have nothing to do with you. And I'm, just trying to learn that it's not all about me, and just kind of operate from grace with people. That don't mean you gotta stay in their space in order to operate from grace. So learn to give the gift of goodbye. And
Gift of
because
goodbye, I
sometimes you
like
try
that.
to explain and prove the point and try to get them to see it ain't gonna happen. And so sometimes you just have to just walk away. And the key here, as we said before, and kind of see, what role did I play? And that was really liberating for me when I was able to see that, ooh, I am controlling, and I am a brat and I can do A, B, and C. It really helped me with my kind of compassion and not be so hard on people. And also here's a big lesson I learned: listen more than you lecture. I think we can always give a lot of advice. And, I learned that the hard way after losing my nephew. And you think about all the times, well, for me, I thought about all the times I lectured, because you think they need to know. And you forget that you was young and thought you knew everything too, and so lecturing, sometimes you just need to listen, and that will help you understand what you need to understand. And just listening, I think that's a big healer for narcissists and for those who try to deal with them.
I totally agree. My daughter actually said this to me. My daughter said that I will always how did she say it? Listen to respond. She said she was the one that taught me to stop doing that. Because if you're just listening to respond, you're not listening at all. You see what I'm saying? You're not listening at all. Oh my God, it helped me so much with knowing how to have a better relationship with my daughter. And now my daughter is an adult. We can talk about anything. But when she was a teenager, we was like this because I was just like, do, what you say? You know what I mean? Oh, that's not right. You know what I mean? Things like that. So think about in relationships when the same thing. We listening for them to say something that's foul. That, oh yeah, that ain't right. You know what I mean? Something is going on here. You listen to be almost on the defense all the time. And so you miss out on everything. And then you start, acting accordingly. So yeah, that was a really good one. Thank you, Tamika. Celeste?
Well, there's so many things that's going on in my head, but I think the lesson for me today is that I need to start being more aware of me being so on guard about being with a narcissist person, because I really, really, after that experience of being controlled when I didn't know I was being controlled, and having triggers that people knew. Like maybe I need to keep them under wraps, because if you mess with my friend, I'm going to act like this. If you mess with my kids, I'm going to act like this. Maybe I need to be a little bit more in the dating world. I need to be a little bit more, not secretive with that, but more, keep that to myself from the beginning, because I talk a lot. So I'll be like, blah, 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 and they get to control me without me knowing their control. Does that make sense?
Because they're listening to what you're saying, because some people are more intentional than you think they are.
Exactly.
When you say something, and you made a really valid point, Celeste, I love this. First and foremost, I love that everybody is so transparent and talking about things that is going to help them heal and grow. When people listen to people that have been through trauma, have been through things, it automatically kind of puts you up on the guard, because I don't know what you listened and what points you pulled off. You see what I'm saying? That you can kind of use it to control me. So I kind of feel what you're saying, Celeste. I think that those many years that you and I'm gonna just jump in and say this because I love your ex-husband and y'all have a great relationship. And I think that sometimes people are narcissistic and they don't even know it because other things
You
have
didn't
happened
know.
to them and they
Yeah.
kind of turn and have relationships like this. But Natasha, you can probably clarify that in your closing. But the thing I want to say about your ex is that I always thought he was just the kindest person and just the person that you always want to be around you because he just brings this aura with him of he's the fun person, he's the genuine person, he's the down person. No one knows what Celeste was going through in her relationship, you know what I mean? And I can see how that could be hard to diffuse the two. You see what I'm saying? Because I've known him for years and years and years, and I could tell you that Prince is one of my favorite people.
And he's still like that, but the controlling part.
Yeah, but we don't have a relationship with him like that.
Exactly.
We don't have a relationship with like that, and I could tell that. And this is why I say, as empathy to you, think about not having a relationship with somebody like that because they're your partner. You know what I mean? And people like me and a whole bunch of me's sitting on the back and saying, "How could that be? What's going on?" But
So wonderful.
yeah, see, that's hard. So that's my thought on that one. But again, thanks, Celeste. That was awesome. Mel.
I really don't have any closing statement. I've been sitting here sick as a dog, but I'm enjoying this conversation.
Oh, well, you don't look sick, but I'm just saying, thank God for that. But I hope you feel better, because Lord, we know what's been going on around this cancer.
Yeah.
But thank you for this great topic, Mel, because it's an awesome topic, really.
Thank you guys for participating.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Thank you,
Natasha,
Mel.
now you need to close this up with some facts for the ladies.
I think for me the biggest thing is let's not use this title as a weapon. It's really easy to like shoot shots at people and be like, because I read this on WebMD, you're a narcissist because you have X, Y, and Z. Some of this stuff is just people's personalities, and it's about when we think about our safety level, like, do I feel safe with this person when they're being controlling? Do I feel safe with this person when they brag about their self around my friends? Or is it just that's what you do is fine? Like, we have to be able to look inside and understand where's our safety monitor at. And that has to start by understanding, am I safe in myself?
Right.
Because then you get confused being safe with someone else. So let's not use being a narcissist as like this quick, boom, I'm gonna shoot you with it because you try to control me or anything like that. Like, that's not what I want people to think. Like, really pay attention, feel your way through a relationship, because your feelings, for like everyone, we felt it. We damn felt it and knew that it did not feel right. But like Celeste said, I couldn't put words to it. Sometimes we'll need to put words to it. It just doesn't feel right. You know, like if you see a dark alley and it don't feel good, you're not gonna be like, why do I feel that way? I'm gonna go down the alley anyway. No, you're gonna be like, this don't feel good. I'm not going down that alley. We don't question things like that. But when we're in relationships and something just doesn't feel good, we just knock it off as this whatever. Like, pay attention. Like, it's you talking to you. We just have to learn to trust ourselves, understand what our level of safety is, and listen and move accordingly.
That's awesome. Thank you again, ladies. Thank you. This has been an awesome, awesome, awesome episode. So join us every Wednesday when we drop a new episode. Catch us on our social media page. Let's Chit Chat Sis. So it's on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, every place. And we keep everybody updated on what's new episodes coming out, and hot topics like this, you know, because sometimes we just have questions in on the pages asking what you feel, and that gives us little leeway to create these great episodes. So joining me tonight is all my sister girls, and I'm your girl Kimmy, and joining me is
Natasha,
Tamika,
And Celeste.
Everyone have an awesome week on purpose. We'll see you next week.
Bye.